Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very late episode of Inside Fnatic's Brush. Very sorry for taking this much time to give a little update, catch up what was happening in the LEC, but a few things happened on my side, then a few things happened on Fnatic's side. So obviously, a bit hard to have everything synced up on my end, but we're finally here. So happy to be back, happy to be able to do an episode which I've named the big recap this time because we're going to go through a few things that have happened since obviously the first part of group stage and just catch up on all of the action. Obviously, as you can see, no stream this time because not really a good time to stream, unfortunately, on my side. Just easier to just do a video, put it on the YouTube, and catch up with you guys on stream a bit later down after MSI. So we'll do it like that, if that's okay with you guys. So let's not waste any more time and jump right into the first part where LEC Finals, I think, was a big surprise for a lot of people. Mad Lions ended up winning spring spring split, I should say, with quite a surprising reverse sweep against Team BDS. Team BDS, I think, by if not everyone, at least a vast majority of people would agree that they were the one who are gonna win it all, especially after a very decisive 3-0 against Team Vitality, who kind of faltered a little bit during group stage, but were still looking strong. So I think a lot of us anticipated it. Probably on my side, it was a 5-game series. Ended up being a 3-0. I think overall outstanding performances were Crown Shop, and I think that goes throughout the whole playoffs. I think Crown Shop has been super consistent and easily sets himself as, let's say, at least top 3 ADCs. You can easily put them at the best as the best ADC. I think for the split, it would be something crazy to suggest. But yeah, it was a strong 3-0 against Team Vitality here. Sheo as well doing a lot of work against Bo, who was carrying those games for Vitality in the playoff stage. Was really coming up to his stronger self, but it was just a massive diff. Despite obviously Photon playing much better than Adam, I would say, over the series, it just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough, and it just came down to Shio and Crown Shop getting such a lead that it became very hard for Vitality to do anything throughout the series. And so when you look at the game, it's a very reasonable 3-0 for Team BDS. Now, if you look on the other side of the bracket, which is the lower bracket, so Mad Lions managed to make it through, beating Fnatic, beating Astralis, but looked kind of shaky doing it. So everyone thought going into G2, which while they didn't necessarily look like the stronger team in playoffs, definitely looked stronger than Mad Lions, and that one was a bit crazy. I think everyone can agree on that. That the 5-game series. From what I remember, a lot of people were more on like 3-0, 3-1 for G2, but again, the how do you call it? The Niski Gragas seems to be like his old Twisted Fate. When everything goes wrong, just go for the Gragas pick, and you'll get through it at the end of the day. So it was a lot of back and forth, to be honest, because it started with a very strong win by G2 on the first game. I think it was what 10 plus goal difference at below 30 minutes. But then turned it around with Mad Lions, 2 wins in a row, especially with a crushing win on the third game. G2 managed to bring it back, and it came down to the last game. And what did they pick at the last game? They picked Gragas, and of course, massive difference maker again. It's quite impressive, you know, what Niski was able to do during those games, and so that allowed Mad Lions to go forward against Team Vitality. And there, I think, from this point onward, all bets were off, because Vitality, I think, were shaken up by the 3-0 loss against BDS, and Mad Lions were on that momentum of just going forward. And I think from that point onward, this allowed Mad Lions to just have a bit of the mental advantage on their opposition. And that's what the Mad Lions Vitality game felt like. It felt like it was just who has the best momentum, who has the bigger mental fortitude, and Vitality just, I don't, at least that's the impression it gave me, that they were really out of it. Because, like, if I remember the games correctly, they were really one-sided. At least for the Mad Lion games, it was not like a weird turn of events where, you know, Vitality were ahead, then they messed up a Baron or something, or a team fight. It's just they won the game. And I don't know, I think Bo just completely lost the plot. He was making plays where it felt like he was trying too hard to win, basically. It felt like he put the responsibility on himself to win the series, and that ended up in him just inting his ass off. Like game 4, he went what, 0 and something, like 0 and 5, 0 and 6. As a Maokai, you have to, like, if I'm the rest of the team, I'm like, yeah, just GG this, and I'll see you next split, you know. So yeah, it really felt like, out of all the games Mad Lions had to play so far, almost Vitality was the easiest game for them. And at the same time, it did feel like Mad Lions were sort of improving with every game going forward. So, you know, that, I think that definitely worked in their favor as well, in that sense, where what do you call it? Where they looked very poor at the beginning of group stage, and they finally started figuring it out for themselves, like how to play the game. So yeah. With that said, going into the finals, I think everyone still had Team BDS as winners, and that's how it felt like, because Team BDS win their first 2 games very cleanly, in an opposing way. I don't think anyone thinks that, you know, Mad Lions is about to win, because, you know, I think it always came down to Crown Shot really being a difference maker in those games. Just trying to look at some of the stats again here. Crown Shot goes 12 and 0 game 1, then goes 10 and 2 game 2, and you're like, okay, this is the Crowny show. there's thank you for coming, Mad Lions, but we're crowning a new champion today, and I'm not really sure what happened from that point onwards. Did Team BDS already see themselves as winners or something like this, or what was going on exactly? But you know it was there's a bit of a mystery as to why suddenly it wasn't working out for them. So wait, give me a second. There's a bit of noise here. I might need to close the window here. No, it's gone. Sorry, I got distracted here. But yeah, as I was saying, it felt like maybe Team BDS thought that they had the win. Maybe took their foot off the gas pedal because the roles kind of were reversed. Like the people who were really smashing it on BDS side just suddenly faltered. Like Crony kind of struggles, especially on the Aphelios and the Zeri, which were picks that worked really well for him. And when it came to game 5, it was just a very one-dimensional game. Like I actually don't think that BDS got a single kill out of the whole game, and you can see that the morale is like absolutely completely crushed from that point onwards. So bit of a shame. BDS was looking good. It was, I think, a good representation of what the how do you call it, the academy teams can bring, and the fact that they were performing was, there's a bit of symbolism in my opinion as to what BDS were representing. But unfortunately it didn't happen. Mad Lions get their third title. Congratulations to them. And yeah, now they're at MSI. Well, they were at MSI actually. By the time I record this video, they've already been beaten by G2, and it's a bit of a poor representation of the first seed for EU. Mad Lions really struggling internationally, and I don't know what that means in terms of EU as a whole. Are they really representing our region properly, or is it just the lack of proper international experience that's kind of reflecting? Although I say that, and four-fifths of their team have been at international events. I don't know if Chasey has been at international events. I haven't checked that, but Ayoya, Niski, Karzi, and especially Hilly Sang. But the difference is too hard. In terms of the level between EU. Well, I'd say between the West and the East, it feels like this year is the strongest it's probably ever been in recent years. So, yeah, a bit of a mismatch. We'll see what happens at Worlds, but right now, it's just not it, guys. It's just not it. Moving on. Let's talk about Fnatic very quickly. Just to kind of wrap up this LEC stage bracket. This is a bit of a heartbreak, I would say. Fnatic obviously fell against Astralis on the first part of group stage, went into the lower bracket, and seeing how Mad Lions were performing, everyone expected us to win against them. We were 2 auto attacks away, really. And, even though we were so close, the way we played was just it felt like we went back to the first weeks of the split. It was very untidy, super messy overall. Um, Making mistakes that I thought we had corrected towards the end of the split, creeping up again. Um, you know, while the results are obviously better than what we did last split, I'm still greatly disappointed that it feels like we haven't really improved. Sorry, we haven't had. I wouldn't say sorry. That's wrong to say. We have improved, but we haven't been able to really correct the mistakes that we've done before. They just come back so easily that we don't have a system to just suppress them entirely. So our season was cut short. Um, I feel like Oscar played well overall. Um, the bot lane is it's hard to tell. There were some good plays, there were some bad plays, just very inconsistent. But yeah, I was fine with us just to go again with the same five. Obviously, there's been some changes that I'm going to talk about right after, but um, definitely quite surprising to see that you know the team against which we lost ended up winning it all in the end because you know you want to think what would have happened if Fnatic had won. Would would they have gone to win against Astralis? Maybe, maybe not. It's just hard to tell because Astralis is a different team, different way of playing. So you can't really compare and say, oh well, they sucked against Mad Lions, they'll suck against Astralis. I don't think that's necessarily true. So a lot of what ifs basically uh, on that Fnatic loss. The win we get even then was a bit touch and go. We managed to get some good team fights, but at one point we go to fight in the top side of Mad Lion's jungle, and we decide to go all in while Rekkles is mid lane clearing waves. And you're like, do you even want to win at this stage? Like, what the hell is going on? Like, are you even thinking about the actions that you're doing? Because to me, it just feels like you're running it super hard. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. So yeah, it's a lot of questionable plays. Again, our win didn't feel super clean. Um, and yeah, eighth place finish in the end. Eighth, seventh depends on how you want to see it, but it's I feel like there's definitely more to do. But thankfully the season isn't over. We still have summer to sort of build again with this roster and make something out of it. So, excuse me. Bless me. Um, yeah, it's it's just dumb that it came down to a couple of auto attacks, and in the end, we gave Infernal Soul to Mad Lions, which gave them a massive buff, especially with full item Jinx, like full build Jinx. She's just gonna, rock it easily with the strong front line that they had. And yeah, it came down to millimeters. But in my opinion, if you really want to win, and you really want to be competitive, you can't have millimeters, basically. Millimeters don't have uh, their place in a roster that wants to, really, really win it all. So, yeah, a lot of things to revisit. Um, I know Nightshare has a lot of things to look on, especially you know, that series, and we'll see how they get fixed. Obviously, um, that also means that there's been a few modifications because the initial 5 we were supposed to have uh, going into summer, and I know what I said, that the I didn't think that there were going to be any changes because, in my opinion, it wouldn't make sense to make any change. You want to go into summer with a roster you built with. Summer is only going to be 9 games, and if you make changes, you basically, like, the reason you would make changes in summer before waiting the off season would really be because you want to go for a title. Like, otherwise, what else do you want to do? Like, I'm really curious as to what could be the plan here. And when you look at it, there's very little teams that have made changes, like incremental changes. And obviously, there's a lot of people who are calling for Razor to change because our jungle mid synergy still isn't working the best. Some people have been calling for Rekkles because they feel like they need like a stronger laner, a stronger ADC to really be able to be competitive. But my sense is that you see the season out anyway with this 5. You build upon what's been achieved in spring, and then in the off season, when most, if not all the players, a large chunk of the players are available, this is when you do your market. You try to get the best options, and that's it. What happened instead, for those who have followed, is that Rekkles Leaves yet again. Out of the blue, kind of decides to become a support, and I've just realized that oops, I don't know why I've done this. Anyways, disregard the subtitle. It's wrong. Rekkles Leaves to be support. Now, I want to preface this by saying Rekkles almost went to play for support for Mad Lions at the beginning of the season, and those were one of the teams that were interested. The thing is that Rekkles plays a lot of support in solo queue. Third thing is that there have been a lot of ADCs that have been successful in the transition to support, and it feels like this is a recent trend as well of like ADCs as they get older, but they still want to play competitively, will transition to support and end up actually being good supports because they understand what their ADC wants because, well, they've played that role, obviously. So Rekkles, in solo queue at least, has been very successful so far, especially his account. I think he's already like Masters, Grandmasters. It definitely came as a surprise that he would decide for that move in between spring and summer because, in my opinion, there's 2 ways this could have gone. It is that somehow Fnatic decides that Rekkles is already a good support, good enough to replace Adyen, and we search for another ADC, and he still gets to play out the season. Or the other one is that, well, just exactly what happened is that Fnatic said, you're free to play support, but at the same time, we're not going to keep you because we don't know exactly what your credentials are as a support, if you're, actually better value than Adyen, and therefore we're going to go, we're going to keep Adyen and instead look for an ADC because this is what we consider being the better trade-off in the end. So I think overall teams will want to wait and see how Rekkles develops as a support on solo queue because Rekkles has been very good on Senna and Janna. Range champions, giving shields, staying back, not committing himself, which is a bit of his gameplay of not necessarily going in but playing a more secure play style, evaluating the situation before going in. And if he wants to have value on the market going into the off season, what he needs to do is definitely widen his pool of support champions. So that means um, be able to play engaged champions, Nautilus, Leona, Thresh, you know, and in terms of what do you call it? In terms of more like mage champions, being able to transition onto Lulu's, Soraka's, um, probably Milo as well. I feel he's going to be very strong. Even Yumi. So really cover a broad spectrum. And the thing is, I don't know who spoke about it, but I feel it's a fair point that to be able to master champions like Nautilus, Leona, and such that are heavy engage, you have to basically have the hilly spirit, which is you mustn't care about dying. You just go in and not be afraid to give your life for the good of the team. And I think this will be the biggest challenge for Rekkles, to really be a frontline, to be someone who sees an opportunity to engage, go in, and not care about his HP bar in the end, because he knows he'll then get engaged. He will put the CC down, and that's that. So, I think this is what lies ahead for Rekkles, definitely, and what will be, I think, necessary in the end will be for him to have a mindset change. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really hope he gets success as a support, and that we see a revival of Rekkles, because I think that he kind of felt the fact that he was getting distanced by recent ADCs, and he still has a competitive spirit. So I definitely feel like he needed to evaluate the situation and be like, who do I want to be? What do I want to do? If I want to stay within the competition, I don't know. I don't know what's needed for him to really, you know, go to that next step, or feel like he's finally achieved what's necessary. I feel like his career won't be complete if he doesn't get a world's title, but there's such length for him before getting a world title that he really needs to consider first getting that support mindset, and then seeing if he can be better than the current supports, especially when you're going to have guys like Zoelis that are probably going to come into the LEC next season. And yeah, the competition will be fierce for him. But again, good luck. It's just bad timing every time Rekkles leaves. I mean, except probably for the first one, but when he left for G2 is a bit last minute, and he was like, "Yo, I'm not gonna leave," and then suddenly he just leaves at the last moment, and there he leaves just before the ultimate split, and you're like, "Come on, man. I thought you were riding to battle with Oscar. What happened to that? What happened to that?" But he's allowed to do what he wants in the end. So yeah, good luck to him, and we'll be watching as he transitions to support. Now, talking about the new rumored bot lane in Noah and Trymbi. So first things first, Noah, for those of you who haven't necessarily followed, he's currently playing for, I think it's called, is it Zero Gravity or something like this, or Zero Tenacity? I need to check again the name. Why will it not let me check the player? There we go. I think Zero Tenacity, isn't it? Zero tenacity, yeah. And from South Korea, only 21, so very, very young prospect. Very nice to see. And what we can expect of him, well, maybe some of you have watched EUM and will know that he's played, or he. I'm already thinking he's part of Fnatic, but I need to really be serious. He's playing in the Polish league, so not necessarily the most competitive league overall, but um, so very hard for him to really, I guess, uh, do be have a high performance, especially at EUM. But what he's being praised for is a few things. Um, One of them is being a highly mechanical player, which I think is really nice to have. Especially if you can have a smart support that's going to be able to sort of guide you through the different phases of the game. Um, and I had this conversation in the Discord where someone pointed out something very smart, that it's better to have someone with good mechanics but low sort of overall game knowledge, because this is something you can teach him. So him already have high mechanics is great, because then you can build on the knowledge, and then you're just making him even stronger overall. So I think that's super exciting. I've had a look at his stats this season. Um, they're all good. In terms of champion diversity, he plays everything. There's Zerg, Xayah, Philios, Caitlyn, Ezreal, Jinx, Varus, Kai'Sa, Lucian, and Kalista. Sivir. So that's super exciting to see. Um, in terms of his personal early game stats, they're amazing as well. Ahead in CS almost 85% of the time. CS difference of 17, goal difference 806, XP diff 363, 1/3 of first blood participation, amazing. Really high kill participation as well, 72.5. Decent gold percentage as well. I think already in terms of pure individual stats, he's quite impressive. There still needs to be an eye test overall, where we'll have to see, what he's really capable when it comes down to it. But what I will say is, when he gets to play with Trymbi, I think this is going to really enable him. So getting Trymbi, I think, was the biggest surprise for everyone, because at least for me personally, I was quite surprised that Koi wanted to separate themselves with Trymbi, or was it Trymbi that wanted to leave? I'm not sure which direction it was, but at the beginning of the season, if we were to lose Hylissang, I really wanted Trymbi. In my opinion, Trymbi is like a highly cerebral player. For me, he's like a super smart player. He's friends with LS, so I guess they have the same approach where they think a lot about the different aspects of the game. I also like that Trymbi is willing to play anything and perform on it as well. So again, a lot of versatility here, and it gives a lot of combinations with Noah, who's also playing a lot of different champions. So it's not about, we're just gonna lock Sivir or Varus, and then whatever support goes well. It feels like we're really gonna be able to mix it up. And yeah, I think like Trymbi is just a very, very smart player, which is really gonna bring I'm gonna use the same word because I think it really applies to him, a much more cerebral approach to the team. So I'm very excited for this, definitely. Something I also wanted to add about this is that Noah was playing in the LCK Challenger teams for KT Rolster, and he was basically top 2 ADCs at the time, just behind Pays, who is the current ADC for Gen.G. For those who don't know, Gen.G is currently playing MSI as the first seed, so they are the winner of Spring Split in LCK, and Pays is considered like one of the top ADC, if not the best. ADC in that region. So to say that in LEC we have the guy who's just behind him, I think says a lot, and it's just overall super exciting to know that we're again having some high prospects for um, for ADCs, and I mean, and just for players for Fnatic. I think again, I've said it before, but I really believe that Fnatic, as an organization, has really able to be winners when they had great rookies with them, or very young talented players that kind of stood out. The Hoonies, the Caps, the Rekkles when he joined at the time, Feb even, all Broxa as well. Um, all of these guys really defined, generations and moments within Fnatic, and it feels like we kind of lacked that within the last year. We went for a very high reputation, high capability roster in 2022. Great names across the board, but didn't get us the title at the end of the day. But yeah, for me, what I will say is that I'm keeping my expectations low for summer. Um, I think we will do better than in spring for sure. But I don't expect us necessarily to win it all, and therefore that would probably mean miss out on Worlds. But if that's what it is what it is. Um, Noah apparently, and this is really according to rumors, and that's why I kind of wanted to wait before doing the podcast as well. Is that I wanted confirmation from Fnatic themselves before doing something. But it's like it's been ages since I've done an episode, so I need to get on it. But um, but yeah, from what's being told is that Noah is on a multi-year contract, whereas Trymbi is only on a single split contract. So this could mean many things. This could mean that there was obviously a trade between Adyen and Trymbi, so now Adyen is just trying to play out the season and not have a split where he doesn't play before searching for a team. And so he's like, I'm gonna play on Fnatic, and then I'll see, if I like it being on Fnatic, or if I'll go elsewhere. At the same time, this also gives a lot of leeway for Fnatic to say, Trymbi was great, but there's better prospects maybe on the market. Maybe we bring in Zoelis into the team, and they have a lot of liberty when it comes to it. So we will see. Still super excited to have this bottle in. I think getting Trymbi is an absolute robbery from us. Great job from whoever managed to make that trade happen. Obviously, there's a lot of circumstances. The fact that Trymbi wanted to leave, but I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on Trymbi because he didn't have a great season so far. Sometimes what it takes is just someone to change organization to have a second breath of fresh air, second boost. So I say we look closely at what Trymbi is able to achieve, and I think a lot of people will be surprised as to what he brings to the team. So yeah, I'm staying positive. I'm staying excited for summer, keeping it reasonable for the split. But still, I think it's nice we managed to change bot lane, and I'm really looking forward to see what Noah is capable of achieving within this roster. But yeah, that'll be all for this big catch up episode. Guys, thank you if you're watching on YouTube for catching up on uh, a bit of a desert crossing season for Fnatic and for the podcast. So I appreciate you guys tuning in, watching, giving thumbs up, leaving comments. Again, I'm always listening to your feedback, always trying to improve, change the background a little bit. So that's something. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Enjoy MSI. If you're going there, maybe I'll see you because I'm going there next week. This week. I forget that the finals is happening this week. So yeah, I'll see you guys there. If you're going to the finals, enjoy League of Legends. And if you're watching CS:GO right now, hopefully they win. It's on the final map. Yeah, Valorant last game this of the regular season is Wednesday. Fnatic going potentially for the perfect season in very Fnatic League of Legends style, 18-0 against Navi. So it's going to be a banger. The top two teams facing each other. They've been, Fnatic's been playing incredibly well. Alfire, I think, is just having an amazing season so far. So yeah, a lot of exciting stuff happening on Fnatic side. Guys, I'll see you next time. And as usual, always Fnatic. Bye bye. Take care.